Shocking turn. Black girl hides old dress, but billionaire turns her into a queen at midnight. The clock struck 12 in the darkened town of Maplewood. Streetlights flickered, casting eerie shadows, as a girl named Zaria stood alone in her dimly lit room. She cradled an old, tattered dress, the kind that whispered secrets of forgotten dreams. Instantly, the air thickened with magic and mystery. This wasn't just any dress. It was a relic from a time when she had believed in fairy tales and happily ever afters. She remembered the last time she wore it, the way her heart raced as she danced under the moonlight, her laughter echoing against the stillness of the night. But then life happened. Responsibilities, struggles, and the weight of expectations crushed those dreams. Strangely, everything felt different. Outside her window, a soft rustling sent shivers down her spine. Shadows flickered, like something or someone was watching her. A chill danced across her skin. Maybe it was just the late-night breeze, or maybe, just maybe, it was something more. Zaria's breath hitched as she felt a sudden tug in her chest, a longing for something beyond her grasp. What was happening? Why had she felt so alive, only to be trapped now in monotony? Suddenly, a flash of light illuminated the night. A sleek black car pulled up outside, its tinted windows obscuring the occupants. Something about the car felt different, luxurious, yet out of place. It felt as if fate was playing tricks. Her curiosity piqued. Could it be? A billionaire, perhaps? Zaria knew of the wealthy tycoons who roamed these streets in their expensive toys, but never had she expected one to cross her path like this. An urgency filled her chest. She had to find out what would happen next. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Zaria's heart raced. She felt a tug of destiny, urging her forward. The dress still clutched tightly in her hands. She could almost hear it whispering promises of transformation, urging her to take that leap. What if stepping outside changed everything? The billionaire hid behind blurred glass, but Zaria sensed a glimmer of hope. A chance meeting that could alter her life forever. With trembling hands, she opened her window, the cool night air rushing in. What was she really waiting for? She took a deep breath, preparing to step into the unknown. Would she find her destiny, or face disappointment? And in that moment of decision, the world outside continued spinning, holding its breath for what was about to unfold next. Zaria's heart pounded in her chest, drowning out the quiet of the night. The moment she stepped out onto the cobblestone path, the world transformed around her. The streetlights glowed brighter, almost as if greeting her like an old friend. The air hummed with anticipation, alive with possibilities. She turned to face the car, swallowed by shadows, but pulsing with energy. Before she even reached the vehicle, the tinted window rolled down, revealing a pair of piercing blue eyes that seemed to hold the secrets of the universe. Zaria froze. The man inside looked every bit the billionaire she had imagined, tall, with dark hair slicked back, a sharp jawline, and an amused smirk that hinted at mischief. "You must be Zaria," he said, his voice smooth as silk, yet commanding, causing her skin to prickle. What do you want?" she stammered, battling both excitement and fear. Was this her chance, or was she stepping into a trap? "Are you ready for an adventure?" he asked, his eyes sparkling. "I've seen the potential in you. I can give you more than you've ever dreamed of, but it means taking risks." It felt as though he was peeking into her soul, unearthing her deepest desires. She glanced back at her room, the tattered dress in her hand feeling heavier than ever. "What kind of adventure?" she finally managed to ask, her voice barely above a whisper. "Step into the car and you'll find out," he beckoned, a twinkle of challenge in his gaze. Zarya's heart raced. Every instinct screamed at her to be cautious, and yet the thought of a new beginning ignited a flame within her. Just moments ago, she had been a girl with dreams buried under the dust of her everyday life. Now, she stood on the edge of something exhilarating. Taking one last look at the life she knew, Zarya made her choice. She slid into the plush leather seat, feeling like royalty even before he spoke. "Tonight, your life is about to change forever. We have a celebration to attend, a gathering that only a select few know about." As the car surged forward, leaving her old world behind, Zarya felt the magic of the dress whispering promises of hope and transformation. But there was something else, an underlying tension, that made her nervous. It felt too easy. Too perfect. The city lights streaked past them, each one a flash of opportunity. Could she really trust this man? What secrets did he harbor? Questions flitted through her mind as anxiety tangled with excitement. "What is your name?" she asked, desperate to grasp some practical reality in the whirlwind of lavishness. "Just call me Adrian," he replied cryptically, casting a sideways glance at her that sent tingles of apprehension crawling up her spine. As they approached an extravagant mansion adorned with glittering lights, and the sound of music spilling into the streets, Zarya's breath caught in her throat. A crowd shimmered in expensive attire, fashionable, beautiful, intoxicating. She felt small, inconsequential. "Remember," Adrian said, turning to her, the gravity of his words sinking in. "Tonight can be anything you make it. Just be yourself." The air was thick with glamour, but beneath it lay something darker, almost sinister. Zarya clutched the fabric of her dress, a sense of warning echoing in her bones. And as they stepped out of the car and into the crowd, Zarya realized this was not just an adventure, it was a gamble. Was she ready to face the truths this night might reveal? With a pounding heart, she took her first step toward the threshold of change, unaware that the real journey, one fraught with deception and shocking revelations, was only beginning. The music enveloped Zarya like a shroud, pulsing through her veins with an intoxicating rhythm. She blinked against the dazzling lights and glamorous faces that seemed to swirl around her, each one a mask hiding a multitude of secrets. This was a world she had only glimpsed in movies, the laughter, the clinking glasses, the effortlessly elegant people. And here she stood, a diamond among stones, caught between the thrill of the evening and a gnawing unease. Adrian took her hand, his grip firm and possessive. The crowd parted for them, a wave of admiring glances following in their wake. "What did I tell you?" he whispered, leaning closer as they approached the entrance. "You can be anyone tonight. Just let go." Zarya's chest tightened. She could feel the weight of every eye on her, the judgment simmering under the surface. Who did she think she was, stepping into their realm? As they crossed the threshold into the mansion, the atmosphere shifted. The warmth of the outside air was replaced by an opulence that felt suffocating, wrapping around her like chains of gold. The grand foyer was adorned with massive chandeliers dripping with crystals, scattering light like stars across the marble floor. She struggled to absorb the beauty, but her mind raced with doubt. "Maybe I shouldn't be here," she started to murmur. "Nonsense," Adrian replied, his voice dipping into a low, commanding tone. "This is your night. Now, watch and learn." He guided her deeper into the crowd. All around them, laughter erupted, mingling with the clinking of champagne glasses. Zarya's head spun as she caught snippets of conversation, a whispered secret here, a flirtatious laugh there. She felt both invisible and under a microscope, a paradox that made her skin prickle. As they mingled, Adrian introduced her to a string of impeccably dressed guests, each one more glamorous than the last. They smiled, but Zarya caught the fleeting glances of envy, as if her dress, a simple piece washed in memories, was an affront to their carefully crafted images. She squeezed her hands into fists to keep from fidgeting. "Adrian, who is this?" a striking woman with fiery red lips inquired, her voice dripping with skepticism. "She is not part of our circle." "Not yet," Adrian replied effortlessly, his eyes flashing with mischief. "But she will be." Zarya felt the spotlight shift, the weight of expectation crashing down upon her. The woman narrowed her gaze, and in that moment, Zarya could see the judgment in her eyes, a challenge to prove herself. Suddenly, it felt as if the walls were closing in. "Let us show them," Adrian said, his confidence injecting a surge of energy into her weary spirit. He pulled her onto the dance floor, and before she knew it, they were swaying under the mesmerizing glow of the chandeliers. It was overwhelming. Every beat vibrated through her body. Zarya blinked up at Adrian, and for a moment, she lost herself in the depths of his blue eyes. He spun her, and she spun, the laughter of the crowd, and the beat of the music dissolving her anxiety. Here, in this moment, there was no past. Just rhythm. Just freedom. But with exhilaration came the chill of apprehension. As they danced, she spotted the woman from earlier watching them from across the room, her lips curled in a sneer. A flicker of dread danced through Zarya's veins, reminding her that this was a game, a precarious one with stakes she couldn't yet comprehend. Adrian leaned close, his breath warm against her ear. "Now enjoy yourself, Zarya. But remember, not everything is as it seems." His words hung heavy in the air, a foreboding warning cloaked in charm. The night was spinning toward its climax, and with it came the biting realization that she had stepped into something far bigger than herself. And then it happened. A sudden scream erupted from the back of the mansion, a sound so raw it cut through the melody like glass shattering. Zarya's heart dropped. "What was that?" she gasped, the sudden shift in mood tightening the space around her. Adrian's expression darkened, his eyes glancing toward the source of the commotion. "Stay. Close," he ordered, eyes now scanning the crowd with intent. Fear rippled through Zarya. What had she entered? What truths lay hidden in this glamorous facade? She could feel the tension thickening the air, a palpable pulse of uncertainty. The night had shifted again, and as Zarya grappled with her racing thoughts, she sensed there was more at stake than simply a night of indulgence. The night was only beginning to unravel, and Zarya realized she stood at the edge of a revelation that could change everything once more. What had she truly stumbled into? The scream echoed, a chilling wail that ricocheted off the ornate walls, capturing the attention of everyone in the room. Conversations fell silent, laughter died, and all that remained was the heavy sound of Zarya's frantic heartbeat pounding in her ears. Adrian's grip on her hand tightened, anchoring her in the chaos unfolding around them. People started to whisper, glancing towards the back of the mansion where shadows lurked. Zarya stood frozen, unable to shake the feeling that the world beneath her feet was about to shift. "Adrian, what is happening?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper, laden with fear. "Just wait," he replied tersely, eyes still scanning the crowd. He turned slightly, blocking her from the sight of the unfolding drama. Zarya caught just a glimpse, something dark and blurry slipping between the guests, and her stomach nodded in response. The crowd began to part, revealing a figure stumbling forward, a man in a tailored suit with dark smudges painted across his cheeks. He looked disheveled, panic evident in his wide, darting eyes. "Call an ambulance!" he shouted, voice cracking. The word struck Zarya like a fist. Adrian's body stiffened beside her, and she noticed the sharp inhale of those around, as if they had collectively taken in a breath too deep to exhale. "What happened?" she pressed again, desperation creeping into her voice. "I need you to trust me," he said, still watching the scene with a concentration that sent shivers down her spine. "We need to get out of here." Her heart raced, grappling again with the weight of his words. The excitement of the evening was dripping away, eroded by the waves of confusion and dread. But, he interrupted, pulling her away from the dance floor as guests began to murmur, exchanging furtive glances tinged with fear. Just then, there was another scream, a woman's voice, high and piercing. Zarya flinched, the sound reverberating through her entire body. "Back! Everyone back!" a voice ordered, cutting through the din. A tall, imposing figure emerged. A security guard, or what she presumed was security, moved quickly towards the man in the suit, who staggered back as if he were being chased by shadows. "What is going on?" Zarya's voice trembled. Adrian didn't answer but continued to lead her deeper into the mansion. They reached a dimly lit hallway lined with portraits, each face appearing to watch her with skepticism. Zarya felt claustrophobic, the thrill of the party long gone. "Adrian, please," she begged, pulling him to a stop. "I don't want to leave. I want to know what is happening." He turned to her, his expression hiding a storm of emotions. "You can't be here for this. People like them, they're not safe." Zarya blinked, her world spinning again. What had she stumbled into? Who were these people? The fear in Adrian's eyes shifted something deep within her, awakening a primal instinct to know the truth. Suddenly, the lights flickered, casting erratic shadows that seemed alive. Zarya's breath caught. Something sinister was lurking just out of view. Then, the tension in the air broke again, replaced by the sound of sirens wailing in the distance. In that moment, Zarya felt the cold grip of reality check her. This wasn't a fairy tale, it was a nightmare dressed in elegance. "Look," Adrian said, drawing her gaze back to him. "We have to blend in, act normal. If they catch wind of anything," his voice trailed off, leaving an unsettling silence. She nodded slowly, but the whirlwind of thoughts only surged. Blending in? What would that even mean? And then, she caught sight of the fiery woman again, standing at the entrance of the hallway, a smirk curling on her lips as she eyed them with a knowing glint, as if she had the answers Zarya desperately sought. "Adrian," Zarya hissed, pulling his sleeve, but he was already scanning the crowd again, expression darkening. Then it hit her. A chilling realization. Secrets were buried here, and the longer she stayed, the more likely she was to be caught in their web. Everything was spiraling out of control, and Zarya could feel herself teetering on the edge of discovery. As Adrian pulled her further, a single question echoed in her mind. What would she risk to uncover the truth lurking in this luxurious nightmare? The floor beneath them seemed to pulse, as the very air buzzed with buried dangers. Zarya knew one thing for sure: tonight was going to change everything. And it was just the beginning. What awaited her on the other side of this shimmering facade? As they slipped further down the dim corridor, Zarya's heart raced uncontrollably. Shadows danced around them, the sound of muted chaos growing fainter behind closed doors. Every instinct within her screamed to escape, yet her curiosity burned brighter. She had to know what lay ahead. "Where are we going?" Zarya whispered, glancing at Adrian, who wore a mask of tension. "To the basement. There's a back exit." His voice was tight, almost strained, as if the weight of her safety rested solely on his shoulders. The urgency in his tone struck a chord deep within her. The faint sound of muffled shouts echoed in the distance, a haunting reminder that whatever was unraveling outside was far from normal. Suddenly, the lights flickered again, plunging them into near darkness. Zarya stumbled, panic creeping up her spine. Adrian's grip was her only tether to reality. Glaring flashes illuminated the narrow hallway, revealing twisted faces in the portrait frames, their eyes seemingly wider, more watchful. She felt as if the mansion was alive, each brick vibrating with suppressed energy. "Keep moving," he urged, urgency lacing his whispered command. They passed a door marked "Staff Only," the metallic doorknob glinting as if beckoning. Zarya hesitated. What if we shouldn't know? Adrian hissed, pulling her past it. We don't have time. Every step took them deeper into the unknown. Her mind raced with possibilities. Who was that man? What was the woman with fire in her eyes hiding? Zarya could feel the pressure building, the need to discover the truth clawing at her insides. They reached a staircase descending into even darker depths. The air shifted, growing chillier with each step. Slowly, the oppressive weight of danger pushed against her, like the walls themselves were trying to keep secrets locked away. The flickering lights dimmed further until, in a final burst, everything fell into black silence. Panic tightened its grip on her. Adrian, I can't see anything, she said, fear slipping into her voice. Just trust me, was all he said, his hands still firmly clasped around hers. A heartbeat passed, then he led her down the creaky steps, the wood groaning under their weight. The basement loomed below, a labyrinthine expanse filled with old crates, dusty furniture, and remnants of a past so alive, it felt as if it could reach out and drag her in. The musty smell was thick and choking. Adrian stopped abruptly, just in front of a heavy wooden door. This is the way out, he said. His voice dropped to a near whisper. But I have to warn you. Warn me about what? Her heart pounded wildly. Things might get messy. Just do what I say, and don't scream. Zarya gulped, her pulse quickening. This was at the moment she could either flee or rush into the chaos. Adrian reached for the door, hesitating just long enough for her to glimpse the shadows behind him, twisting and swirling in the corner of her vision. Whispers threaded through the air, words she couldn't quite catch but felt in her bones. He pushed the door open, hinges creaking ominously, and a rush of cold air hit her like a wave. Zarya stepped through, breath catching in her throat as she beheld the scene unfolding before her. They had stepped into a vast, dimly lit underground chamber filled with figures clad in dark clothing. A long table was set end to end with an array of luxurious items, each one more decadent than the last, glistening gemstones, hefty piles of cash, and even delicate vials with swirling red liquid. Before she could process it, a chilling voice rang out, "Who dares to intrude?" The attention turned toward them like the sharp snap of a trap. The fiery woman from earlier stepped forward, eyes narrowed, a wicked smile playing at her lips. Zarya's heart hammered, her mind racing. "Adrian," she hissed, panic rising. With a swift movement, he pulled her closer, shielding her as if to block the wave of judgment that crashed towards them. "Stay quiet," he urged, his breath hitching. But it was too late. The room erupted in chaos. Zarya felt the ripple of fear and power, a dangerous undercurrent that surged between the figures. Then, everything slowed as a single thought sparked in her mind. This wasn't just a gathering, it was a reckoning. And she was caught in the eye of the storm, teetering between two worlds, the glimmering facade above, and the shadowy secrets below. What had Adrian pulled her into? And what sacrifices would she be forced to make to survive the truth? The words hung heavy in the air, each syllable curling like smoke around Zarya's mind. She could feel the eyes of the darkly clad figures piercing through her, assessing her worth in a way that left her skin crawling. Adrian's grip tightened on her wrist, a physical anchor amidst the swirling chaos. The woman with fiery eyes leaned forward, her lips curling into a smirk that sent shivers down Zarya's spine. "So, you brought a little surprise," she said, her voice slick and low. "How quaint." Adrian, moving swiftly, stepped in front of Zarya, casting her deeper into the shadows behind him. "We didn't come for trouble," he snapped, his voice edged sharp like a knife. "Just let us leave." Laughter erupted from the crowd, a chiming chorus of mockery. Zarya swallowed hard, panic swirling in her chest. The atmosphere felt electric, a live current sparking against the heavy silence. She peered around Adrian, desperate to understand what madness was unfolding. "We can't just leave," Zarya whispered, her breath shaky. "What do they want?" "Trust me, Adrian growled, but even in his resolve, Zarya could sense the fear. There was something sinister lurking in the depths of this place. She could almost hear the whispers of the past echoing off the stone walls, warning she wasn't equipped to understand. Enough, the fiery woman commanded, raising a hand. The laughter dissolved into an uneasy silence. We don't have time for guests who don't play by the rules. From somewhere amidst the gathered figures, a low murmur rose, words slithering like serpents. Blood for blood, one voice intoned. A duel for dominance. What? Zarya's heart stuttered. The implications slashed through her like glass shards. Adrian, we can't too late. They had already made their decision. The woman stepped closer, her presence suffocating. I challenge you, Adrian. Win, and you may leave with your friend. Lose, and she let the words trail off, a wicked light in her gaze, as she surveyed the treasures laid out upon the table. Adrian stepped forward, jaw clenched. I want to fight you. This isn't, but it is. It's the only way, she interrupted, her eyes glinting with malicious excitement. You know the stakes. I can give you everything you've always wanted or take it all away with a snap of my fingers. Zarya felt a knot tighten in her stomach. Adrian, please don't. We can find another way, but her voice sounded insignificant against the mounting tension in the room. Adrian's gaze flickered back to her, a moment of indecision playing across his features. Zarya, if I refused, she could see it in his eyes. He was weighing their options, but the weight of the choice felt monumental. I know, she breathed, desperately trying to inject resolve into the fear that was clouding her mind. But we can't let them push us into this. We can't let them win. The woman laughed again, an unsettling, melodic sound that sent chills skittering through Zarya's veins. It's already too late for that. This is your chance, Adrian. Prove your worth, or watch her suffer the consequences. Everything within Zarya screamed at the looming threat. Confusion mixed with dread. She understood that whatever happened next, there would be no turning back. Okay, Adrian said, his voice steady despite the turmoil swirling around them. I'll fight. But if I win, you give us safe passage. No tricks, no games. Agreed, the woman replied, her smile widening, teeth flashing like daggers. Time seemed to freeze as Zarya's world tilted on its axis. She was caught in a web of uncertainty, and every breath felt like a weight pressing down on her chest. Every nerve heightened, every sound amplified. Adrian, she shouted, her voice raw with emotion, but the moment hung thick, drowning her plea in the tension. The crowd shifted, anticipation crackling in the air as Adrian prepared himself, determination etched on his features. Zarya felt the ground tremble beneath her as she realized they had stepped into something far more dangerous than she had imagined. What kind of fight was about to unfold? And as the first blow was about to be struck, what hidden truths would be unveiled? Adrian squared his shoulders, his gaze solid and unyielding, like a granite wall against the rising tide of chaos. Zarya felt the tremors of anxiety surge through her body. Every heartbeat pounded against her chest, echoing in concert with the electricity crackling in the air. She knew the stakes were impossibly high, yet part of her clung to a desperate thread of hope. With a sudden gesture, the woman with fiery eyes began to clear a space in the center of the crowd, reveling in the excitement building around her. Come, come, let us not keep the audience waiting. Her voice held a silvery thread of malice, reverberating off the damp stone walls. Zarya's pulse quickened. Several shadowy figures pressed forward, forming a tight ring of expectation. They watched with eyes full of bloodlust, their silhouettes blending into the darkness, leaving only their leering expressions illuminated against the dim light. Adrian, the words slipped from her lips unbidden, a plea straining against the tightness in her throat. He turned slightly to her, the weight of his decision heavy in his eyes. Stay back. Don't let them. Before he could finish, The fiery woman flung her arms wide, as if ready to unveil a grand performance. Let the duel commence. She stepped back, air thrumming with tension. Adrian clenched his fists, grounding himself. He had no weapon, but the fire in his spirit was palpable. He looked between Zarya and the woman, his mind racing. He wouldn't let Zarya suffer if he could avoid it. Every ounce of his being screamed to protect her, yet a fierce rage welled in him. He wouldn't play their game lightly. As the first punch flew from the woman, it was like the world shifted. Adrian dodged quickly, muscles rippling beneath the taut skin of his arms. The crowd gasped collectively, a sharp inhale cutting through the air, as if to say, "Is this actually happening?" Zarya watched, frozen but alive with emotion. Each punch that landed, each feint executed with precision, sent waves of fear crashing over her. Adrian was skilled, but this was no simple brawl. It was a dance with fate. "Hit harder, Adrian," she shouted, her voice striving to cut through the clamor. But her encouragement seemed to drown in the cacophony of the spectators. The woman moved with an eerie grace, her wild laughter mixing with the sound of flesh against flesh. As Adrian stumbled back, she lunged, aiming a blow that nearly caught him off guard. There was a sickening snap as he barely dodged, the energy of the crowd pulsating with every near miss, each failure hanging thick in the air. "Give it up. You can't win," she taunted, a smirk tugging at her lips. Adrian's resolve hardened. "Watch me." Zarya felt every muscle in her body tense as she witnessed the fight unfold. Each clash echoed against the stone, each second weighted with uncertainty. How could this end well when the odds were so blatantly stacked against him? But then, in a momentary lull in the combat, something shifted. Adrian's eyes flickered to Zarya, a spark igniting between them that transcended the chaos around them. Her heart soared momentarily, a fragile hope fluttering within her chest. "Adrian," she called, her voice rising above the noise, "you can do this. You're stronger than they think." The fiery woman turned, her expression momentarily darkening at Zarya's reminder of Adrian's strength. "Enough of this," she snapped, pushing her power through the crowd like a shockwave. The crowd gasped again, sensing the change. But Adrian wasn't finished. Calling upon an inner strength that seemed to defy the odds, he lunged forward. But at that moment, Zarya caught a flash, something silver glimmering in the shadows behind the throng of spectators. Was it a weapon? Her pulse raced as the future twisted and turned before her eyes. Secrets were buried within this cursed space, and time slipped dangerously between them. Would Adrian fight his way to freedom, or would they both be ensnared by the woman's wicked games? Zarya felt the edge of destiny tip on a knife point, ready to plunge them both into the abyss. Then, just as Adrian's fist connected with the air, she knew one thing. The true battle had yet to begin, lurking just below the surface. What other secrets would be revealed? And would they regret standing there, unaware of the dark shadows that promised to engulf them? Adrian's heartbeat echoed in his ears like thunder as he charged at the fiery woman, fully aware of the danger lurking behind her chaotic laughter. The crowd surged, eyes glinting with a cruel anticipation that made Zarya's stomach churn. They were like vultures, hungry for the spectacle to play out, unaware of the real stakes at hand. With every blow that landed on Adrian's body, she felt it too. Each hit he absorbed reverberated within her, a shockwave of pain and fear that threatened to drown her hope. The fiery woman danced effortlessly around him, her movements a blend of predatory grace and sinister intent. Zarya squirmed, her hands clenching into fists at her sides, as if willing them to strike back at the taunting woman. "You think you can win?" The woman mocked, her voice silky smooth, filled with condescension. "This is my domain. You're just a moth drawn to the flame." But with every word, Zarya could see a flicker of determination in Adrian's eyes. He wasn't backing down. Wasn't he defeated? There was a weight to this moment that transcended the arena of violence. It was a proving ground, not just for him, but for all the unspoken promises they shared. "Keep fighting," Zarya shouted into the tumult, her voice cutting through the noise like a beacon. "Don't let her get inside your head." The words seemed to grip Adrian, fueling his fire as he swung with a renewed ferocity. The crowd roared, bloodlust filling the air, yet Zarya stood firm. She wouldn't let them strip away his resolve. A sudden shift occurred. With a swift kick, Adrian managed to push the woman back, and the crowd gasped, a collective intake of breath that hung heavy in the air. For one brief, shining moment, the light seemed to reflect against his determined face, casting him as both fighter and hero. Then Zarya caught that glimmer again, a flash of silver reflecting against the stone wall, almost beckoning her. Abruptly, her instinct kicked in. "Adrian!" she yelled, her heart racing as adrenaline surged. "The weapon! Behind you!" His eyes darted back, but the fiery woman was already advancing again, a tempest of fury. Zarya's vision narrowed onto the silver glimmer, knowing they couldn't let this opportunity slip away. "Adrian! Distract her! I'll get it!" With that, Zarya surged forward, pushing through the throng of spectators. The electricity in the air crackled as she weaved desperately, her mind racing with thoughts of what lay ahead. "Stay back!" shouted a figure in the crowd, but she continued, ignoring the threats, her eyes locked on the source of the shimmer. As she approached, the silvery object loomed closer, a dagger, its blade glinting ominously in the half-light. Zarya's heart raced as she picked it up, its cold metal sending shivers through her fingers. It felt heavy with purpose, as if it carried the weight of countless untold stories. Behind her, the duel raged on. Adrian's movement was frantic, dodging every incoming attack, but struggling to counter her blows. The woman was relentless, her laughter echoing like dark music through the stone corridor. "Now!" Zarya whispered to herself, turning to rejoin Adrian, her pulse thrumming in sync with his desperate fight. The dagger felt strangely right in her hand, a small flame of hope igniting within her. With renewed determination, she plunged back toward the arena. She could see Adrian faltering. "Adrian!" she screamed, pushing through the crowds. The dagger could be the answer, the absolute turning point in this twisted game. Suddenly, a booming voice cut through the air, silencing the crowd. "Enough!" The fiery woman halted, her attention now flickering between Zarya and Adrian. Her eyes narrowed, and the predatory smirk faded slightly. They were standing on the brink of something monumental. What were the woman's true intentions, and what power did Zarya hold with that dagger now in her hand? As time froze, Zarya grasped the weapon tightly, realizing that the battle wasn't only Adrian's anymore. It was hers too, and they had to face the darkness together. But one question loomed large: would they turn the tide of fate, or would they both be swallowed by the chaos awaiting them? The silence was electric. Zarya could feel every pair of eyes in the crowd glued to her, the weight of judgment pressing down like a lead blanket. She held the dagger, its blade shimmering ominously under the dim light, and the moment stretched, a taut string waiting to snap. Adrian shifted his weight, muscles coiled in readiness, as he prepared to fend off the fiery woman's next assault. "Do you think you can save him?" The woman taunted Zarya, her voice ricocheting around the space like a chilling whisper. "You have no idea what you're dealing with. This is a game of power, and you have no pieces on the board." Zarya felt the dagger pulse with the frenzied rhythm of her racing heart. "I have power," she shot back, surprising even herself with the conviction in her voice. "I have Adrian." The fiery woman laughed, a sound dripping with disdain as she turned her attention back to Adrian, who had just narrowly dodged a fiery arc of her arm. "You think love is power?" she sneered, stepping closer to him, her movements deliberate and menacing. Love makes you weak. Love will get you killed. No! Zarya shouted, stepping forward, the dagger raised high. Love gives us strength. It binds us. You can't break that. For a brief second, the fiery woman faltered, her wicked smile flickering. But a sharp look in her eyes told Zarya this battle was far from over. The crowd's energy shifted. Gasps echoed around her as they leaned in, hungry for the outcome. Adrian, picking up on Zarya's determination, felt a surge of adrenaline rip through him. He pivoted, readying himself for a counterattack. Zarya! Now! He barked. The urgency in his voice pushed her forward. With a fierce battle cry, Zarya lunged, dagger aimed directly at the fiery woman. Time slowed as she moved, every heartbeat resonating in her ears. Would this dagger be enough to turn the tide? Would it change everything? The woman sidestepped with a smirk, her reflexes sharp as a razor's edge. You're too slow, little girl, she hissed, but Zarya was ready for that. Instead of trying to pierce the woman's skin, she swung the dagger in a wide arc, aiming not for flesh, but for the unnerving magic that surrounded her. Sparks ignited in the air, vivid and bright. The crowd gasped, the awe silencing their bloodlust for a heartbeat longer, as if they could sense the power brewing. What? The fiery woman's expression crumpled, startled. The shimmering barrier around her wavered, her confidence faltering for the first time. Zarya seized the moment, realizing she had hit a nerve. This wasn't just a fight of muscle. It was a battle of wills. Adrian! Charge her! Now! Zarya shouted, her voice strengthened by hope and defiance. She was alive with purpose, her vision clear. Together, they could push through the chaos. Adrian surged forward, his movements synchronized with Zarya's, and they clashed against the fiery woman, determination radiating from them both. They fought together, forming a shield against her chaos, a wave of power and fearlessness cracking through the air like thunder. The fiery woman howled in fury, trying to regain control, but with each combined effort, the arcane force she relied on began to crack. The dagger pulsed with a glow that resonated deep in Zarya's chest. Together, hold on! Adrian shouted, feeling the surge of strength coming from Zarya, a fire igniting in his heart that he thought had long been extinguished. But just as victory seemed within reach, a sudden explosion of energy sent them both flying backward, slamming into the cold stone floor. Zarya's grip slipped from the dagger as she tucked her arms around Adrian, trying to shield him from the impending chaos. Everything brightened in a blinding flash, the arena darkening in shadows that rippled with danger. Zarya struggled to her feet, panic clawing at her throat. Where was the dagger? Where was Adrian? As the shadows loomed closer, a chilling realization dawned upon her. The fiery woman hadn't been defeated. She was just getting started. And Zarya could feel it, that this fight was only a prelude to something much darker. Lurking beneath the surface, Adrian's voice broke through the chaos, strained but resolute. Zarya! Don't lose hope. But hope felt miles away as she searched, adrenaline racing through her veins. Would they find a way through the darkness? Or were they trapped in a game where the stakes were higher than they could ever imagine? In that moment of dread, as shadows curled around her, a haunting question hung in the air. What if the fiery woman had drawn them into a web beyond their reckoning, a trap that would lead them to their undoing? Zarya lay on the cold stone floor, panic washing over her like a torrent. Shadows crept closer, swirling with ominous energy. She blinked against the dim light, desperately scanning the ground, searching for the dagger that had felt like an anchor to hope. Adrian's voice sliced through the chaos, steady and unwavering. Zarya! Focus! His eyes burned fiercely in the dark, a reminder that they were in this together. The fiery woman, regaining her composure, loomed before them like a tempest ready to unleash its fury. You think this little trick will save you? She scoffed, her voice echoing with malice. You are nothing but pawns in a game far beyond your understanding. Zarya's heart raced. She didn't feel like a pawn. She felt like a warrior, one who still had a chance. With all her strength, she forced herself up, adrenaline coursing through her veins, pushing the fear aside. Adrian, we can't let her manipulate us, she shouted, determination blaring through every syllable. We are stronger together. Adrian nodded, his gaze locked onto the woman. We can't let her take control. We have to act now. Zarya took a deep breath, grounding herself. Memories of laughter, warmth, and hope surged through her, the laughter of childhood, the dreams she thought she lost. The tattered dress she once cherished had symbolized not just loss, but resilience. Resilience. The very word ignited a fire in her soul. Together, she yelled, summoning every ounce of courage. They shared a fierce glance, a silent promise to stand strong against the storm. With newfound resolve, Zarya lunged for the dagger, feeling its cool steel against her palm as Adrian charged at the fiery woman. Adrenaline surged as she launched herself alongside him, drawing power from their connection. The woman's wicked laughter rang out as she prepared to unleash her wrath. Fools! You think you can escape this fate? But Zarya and Adrian locked eyes, syncing their movements. United, they charged forward, an unstoppable force fused with courage. Adrian veered to the left. At that moment, Zarya concentrated on the dagger, the pulse of energy thrumming through her. As if sensing her determination, the dagger glowed, amplifying her will. Now! Zarya shouted, a battle cry that shattered the tension in the air. They moved in perfect harmony as they confronted the fiery woman, the world around them narrowing down to this defining moment. With the dagger poised to strike, Zarya twirled it sharply, aiming for the shimmering energy barrier the woman clung to. Feel our strength, she declared as she plunged the dagger toward the heart of darkness. Brilliance erupted from the blade, illuminating the chamber in a blinding light. The fiery woman recoiled, her smirk vanishing like mist in the sun. The magic she relied on began to unravel, her screams rasping as they echoed off the walls. Adrian seized the moment, charging forward with all his might. This ends now, he yelled, propelling himself into the fray. The impact of his strike sent shockwaves through the room, the sound crashing like thunder. In that moment, Zarya felt the pull of unity, the realization that fears could only manifest when hearts fought individually. Together, they were unbreakable. The dagger, aglow with their combined power, cleaved straight through the aura of deception surrounding the woman. A wave of energy surged, washing over them both, and in an instant, the fiery woman transformed, her face contorted in terror. No! You cannot! The shadows, she commanded, shattered under the glow of their combined will. Then it happened. Silence. The vibrations of chaos stilled. The darkness receded, and the oppressive energy that had haunted them evaporated like a bad dream. Zarya and Adrian stood facing the remnants of the woman's power, breathless, hearts pounding, gazing at the now empty arena. Slowly, she turned to Adrian, their hands gripping tighter than ever. Did we really do that? Zarya asked, her voice shaky but laced with disbelief and excitement. Adrian nodded, his eyes gleaming with unshed emotion. We did it together. You were amazing. Tears pooled in Zarya's eyes, not of fear or sadness, but of strength and the realization of possibilities. I couldn't have done it without you. As they shared a moment of triumph, the echoes of the past melted away, replaced by a hopeful future. Burdened dreams had been wiped clean, and the weight lifted from their hearts, a beginning forged from courage. Let us go, Adrian said, a smile tugging at his lips. Time to leave this chaos behind. Hand in hand, feeling like royalty rather than mere mortals, they stepped toward the exit. The world outside would continue spinning, But they weren't just two lost souls anymore. They were intertwined in a bright reality of chance, dreams, and the power of love. And as the dawn painted the horizon anew, Zarya knew this was the first page of 1,000 adventures together, always together. Now, if you love this story and want more exclusive endings like this, you need to subscribe now. Don't wait even one more second to ensure you're up to date with each thrilling tale we have coming your way. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm, and help me keep bringing you these magical narratives. I want to hear your thoughts. Flood the comments with your reactions and theories about Zarya and Adrian's journey, and what might lie ahead for them. And do me a favor, instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. This is the moment to show your support. Folks, every action counts.